Namaskar, my dear audience. I am retired reader in mathematics and I am here today to talk to you about the dowry menace. Whenever we speak of dowry, we understand it as a prelude to marriage. The boy's family is to select a bride. They go on interviewing girls of various backgrounds. They see to the financial status of the family, the educational qualifications of the girl, her beauty, her poise, and whatnot, before they go to see her. Even though all these requirements are fulfilled, the girl may be rejected simply because they hope to get a better match 2 to 3 years elapse before a girl is finally selected. Then the question of dowry comes in. Nearly all the families then give a big list of their requirements to the bride's family, together with a demand for hard cash. Their amount varies depending on the boy's job, his father's financial condition, and other aspects. A peon may ask for rupees 5,000, while an IAS officer may ask for 5 lakhs of rupees. Besides these, flats, plots of land, cars, scooters, and whatnot are demanded. Marriage is a nice way of getting rich overnight. There is no other sure success way to quick riches. But the real trouble starts after marriage. Woe betide the girl whose parents have not satisfied her groom's and his family's demands. Her punishments range from mental harassment to beating and even murder. Now let us see whether our ancestors had the same attitude regarding dowry. Swayamvars were the order of the day during the Ramayana and Mahabharata times. So where was the question of dowry demands? If a girl was allowed to select her husband from among a group of suitors, then surely there could be no compulsory giving of riches. Then slowly times changed. Men became greedy. They wanted to acquire wealth and it was not easy to get rich quickly. Then someone had a brainwave. When a man took a wife, he had to feed her, clothe her, and look after her till her death. Why should she get everything free? She should get something from her father's house to her new home to make up for all the time that she had to spend there. Men made the laws, and a new law was born. A man and a woman were to set up a new home, so the things required to set up a new home were to be given by the bride's family. The groom was the provider, he would maintain the home. But slowly, as time passed, these household requirements were blown out of proportion, and today demands are ad infinitum. The main cause of dowry demands is due to greed by the groom and his family. Dowry is never given willingly, it is taken willingly. However much one says that one is giving one's daughter dowry out of one's own free will, we all know at the bottom of our hearts that unless we give a good sum, the, the prospect of getting a good groom are dim. To get something, we must give something. But you are giving your daughter, and does she stay idle at her in law's place? Definitely not. She does the household chores, bears children, looks after them. In fact, being a housewife is a 24-hour job. If the girl is working, she adds to the finances of the family. In addition to the overall work, in fact, women do much more work than men. In fact, Women do much more work than men, but they are given lesser care in terms of food, clothes, and entertainment. The woman earns her keep. It is only covetousness that if the groom has a class 1 job or is well established in business, then his claims go on increasing in geometrical progression. One can understand if a peon asks for a bicycle or a moped, but how can one understand a class 1 officer asking for a car? He can get one in his own merit, on his own merit. Won't he feel ashamed riding in a car given by his in-laws? Unless feelings like these be stirred up in the groom, his, in his heart, then we are all, and in the family's heart, then we are all doomed. Education should not be seen as in, as an involvement as an involvement. I spent so much on setting up my son in life, so I should get the same amount back, is the motive behind most dowry claims. Your son is a living object. He cannot be auctioned in the marriage market. Let him repay you from his own earnings. It is the groom and his family who should firmly say that they don't want any dowry. In our society, marriage is a necessity. Sex is a biological need. It is risky to have the latter without the former. Besides HIV positive diseases, free sex is simply not permissible like in the West because our women are not financially independent. Generally, after their teenage years, Westerners strike out for themselves, earning and learning to be independent. But here it is not so. So to say that a girl cannot get married because she cannot pay a certain amount of bride money is a very harsh statement. Is it the girl's fault that she was born into a poor family? What I mean to say is that we must strike at the root of this cancerous disease once and for all and strive to free society from it. It is a fact that in states where the literacy percentage is low, the problem is maximum. So proper education, instilling ethical values is a must. But if we educate our children so that they can get jobs where they can make money by unlawful means, then it is as bad as being illiterate. So far I have been talking about men and their role in taking dowry. Let us see the viewpoints of women regarding this evil practice. Women are equally vociferous when it comes to getting dowry for their sons. It is usually the father-in-law and the mother-in-law and the sister-in-law who torture the bride the most. Women are their own worst enemies. Whenever a group of women get together, their only topic of conversation is usually the amount of dowry a newly married woman in the neighborhood has brought. A bride may be beautiful, she may be brilliant with many achievements to her credit, but if she gets married without any dowry, then the poor girl becomes the butt of all their jokes. She falls in their esteem. Even the bridegroom is taunted as to how he could accept a girl so cheaply. Bridegrooms are auctioned in the marriage market, and their mothers usually play a lead role in these transactions. When it comes to get their daughters married, however, they are different. They blame the groom's side for demanding dowry. So, women are usually hypocritical. One thing for their sons, another thing for their daughters. Huge amounts are spent at weddings. Usually, lavish feasts and new clothes for the relatives eat up all the dowry money. The bride's family has to bear all the above expenses in addition to dowry. So these people become impoverished after a wedding. Of course, all this does not apply to the rich. They have more than enough, but in India, how many people are rich? Particularly in Odisha, the number is a minuscule. It is usually the middle class and lower classes that are affected by this social disease. So, if we discontinue these ostentatious practices, we can surely check the spread of the disease. Marriage should be a private religious ceremony between two families only, or a simple registration ceremony. No religion encourages dowry, so no society should encourage it either. When you look at the poorer classes, you see that for them, the dowry problem is non existent. They get things done according to their own limited means. The rich also have no dowry problem. They can give as much as they want to and select a groom of their choice. It is the middle class that suffers the most. There is the upper middle class and the lower middle class. The upper middle class people are usually service holders, where one or both the parents are working. They are seen opting for educating their children, sons and daughters alike, so that their progeny become financially independent. For them, dowry is not such a great problem because financial independence solves a host of problems among them. Among them is the dowry problem. So, so the real sufferers are the lower middle class people. Unless their children are extremely talented, they cannot compete in the job market. For them, getting a daughter married poses a lot of problems. Even beauty is no criteria for getting a suitable groom. Beauty must be backed by wealth. Even then, there is no guarantee that dowry harassment will cease. Some people argue that the wealth of the parents should be equally divided among their children, including the daughters. If they don't do that, then they should give dowry. But I would like to put forth a few points. First of all, parents work very hard to acquire wealth. Often it takes a lifetime to become comfortably settled in life. The children have no hand in this. The parents clothe their children, feed them, educate them, and set them up in life. That should be enough. It is their hard earned money. They can dispose of it as they like, as they wish. The children, nay, society cannot demand that the parents should make their children their inheritors. I am not saying that the children should should not get their parents' property and money, but only that they should not demand it. They should have no right over it. It is purely the option of the parents to decide to whom they will bequeath their wealth. The only plausible solution to this most vexing problem appears to be is to let the youngsters do their own choosing. Love marriages must be given the green signal. Even here, there are many pitfalls, but one has to take them in one's stride. No system is perfect. Freedom to select one's mate will neutralize to some extent the greed of parents. Lastly, I would like to state that atrocities against women will never cease. This may take the form of beating, mental harassment, forced suicide, and even murder due to greed, dowry greed. It may also be due to a sadistic streak present in many of us. In Western countries, there is no dowry, but heinousness against women continues unabated. Most of the women don't live with the in-laws family, so it is the husbands who maltreat them. Wife beating is a very common offense there. This is mainly due to the physical weakness of women. Man knows that a woman is no match for him physically, so he tries to establish his superiority by physically manhandling her. Even with Even with case of the first man and woman, namely Adam and Eve, it was Eve who was accused of tempting Adam with an apple. It could easily have been Adam who tempted Eve, but no, it must be the man who was to take the blame. It must be the woman who was to take the blame. This is pure male chauvinism and nothing else. So, dowry is an abuse thrust on the woman by the man to establish his superiority. No law can prevent one from giving or taking dowry. Social awareness and strong canvassing by means of literature, cinema shows, and talks can make society aware evils only. Thank you for listening to me so patiently.